Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
The community gathers with the family of Savannah Greenwood to celebrate a 22-year-old woman who tragically lost her life.
Family, friends, and supporters of the Greenwood family are gathering tonight in North Fargo to remember the life of Savannah, whose murder is still sending shockwaves through the community and beyond.
Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker joins us live from Nicholson Field with more. Cornelius?
Andrea, Mike, the gathering wrapped up around 9:30, 9:45-ish, but there are still some people here giving each other support, and I want to show you some of the most emotional scenes from this night. Dozens, if not hundreds of people stood in line to give support and gifts and hugs to Savannah's mother, father, and her boyfriend. And whether people knew Savannah or not, a lot of people came here for closure.
I kind of felt lost when she was missing, and it kind of feels right that they finally found her and that the family gets to have peace. It's super, super sad for that little girl and her family, but I'm really happy that out of the worst thing possible, that probably is the best thing instead of not finding her ever.
Now, with Savannah's death, people are asking everyone to wear red like this top, and it represents the missing and murdered Indigenous women across the country and the world. Mike, Andrea, back to you.
All right, Cornelius, thanks for that live report. At last check, the baby recovered from the apartment in North Fargo last Thursday is doing well and remains in the custody of Cass County Social Services pending DNA test results.
Meanwhile, stepped-up charges were filed against the two people arrested in Savannah's death, the two appearing in court on video to hear the new charges against them.
William Hain and Brooke Cruz are both charged with conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and providing false information to law enforcement.
Valley News Team's Molly Casey joins us live to break down the court documents served up today. Molly?
Well, Mike and Andrea, the documents released from today's court hearing describe the disturbing details that Hain and Cruz gave police about Savannah's death. Officers took both in for questioning on Thursday after discovering a baby girl in the apartment they shared. Police have since said they believe the child is Savannah's. Hain told investigators that when he arrived home from work on Saturday afternoon, he found Cruz cleaning up blood in their bathroom and then showed him the baby girl, saying, "This is our baby. This is our family." Hain admitted to removing garbage bags with bloody towels and his bloody shoes and throwing them into a dumpster in West Fargo. Cruz's version of events is just as disturbing. Cruz told investigators that when Savannah came to her apartment on Saturday, she instructed Savannah on how to self-induce childbirth by breaking her own water. According to Cruz, Savannah left the apartment but came back at 3:30 Monday morning with the baby girl. Cruz admitted to taking advantage of Savannah in an attempt to obtain her child and possibly keep the baby as her own. Today in court, Hain and Cruz both had bail set at $2 million. Judge Thomas Olson gave them both the chance to comment, and while Cruz chose not to, Hain chose to question the bail amount.
I know that $2 million is unattainable for any regular person. That's not a reasonable bail.
The charges against Cruz and Hain are currently only state charges, but could be elevated to the federal level. North Dakota and Minnesota do not carry the death penalty. The maximum penalty is life in prison. If their charges are brought to the federal level, prosecutors could impose the death penalty if found guilty. The next court date for Cruz is September 28th, and Hain will be in court on October 4th. Mike and Andrea.
All right, Molly, and if you want to look over all of our coverage thus far on Savannah Greenwood, head to our website at valleynewslive.com.
A stretch of road that had been closed due to the investigation is back open tonight. It's along Cass County 22, east of Harwood. There's a bridge nearby, and it's where 24 hours earlier the scene was crawling with law enforcement. Yellow tape remains blocking a road that leads to an abandoned farmstead where investigators had been going through as a possible crime scene. It's not far from where Savannah's body was recovered.
Fargo Mayor Tim Mahoney commenting on the tragic death of Savannah Greenwood at tonight's City Commission meeting. It reads in part, "Please remember that instances like this do not define Fargo. Fargo is instead defined by our people's incredible spirit of resilience and their collective acts of support exhibited in the aftermath of difficult circumstances.
In other news tonight, an off-duty federal agent helped Grand Forks police find a potentially dangerous man who may have information about a critical murder case in Iowa. The agent saw 41-year-old Randy Miles Jr. walking in the 3000 block of North Washington Street about 8 o'clock tonight. At first, Miles was uncooperative, but when 2 K-9 units arrived and officers started issuing commands, then Miles listened and was taken into custody. The 2 dogs did not make a physical arrest, though. The 3000 block of North Washington Street was closed for about 25 minutes while that man was taken into custody.
2 men are in trouble with the law after an incident in West Fargo today. 22-year-old Cody Hunt is facing a charge of fleeing, while 30-year-old Eric Stotts is facing multiple charges, including possession of stolen property and a concealed weapon. Authorities found the 2 in the area of 7th Street and 3rd Avenue East just before 1:30 after a report of suspicious people. When officers got there, Hunt took off running and was caught just a few blocks away. Stotts was arrested without incident.
Today, the Trump administration undid some Obama-era regulations on military gear going to cops. The deregulation makes it easier for law enforcement to get armored vehicles, big guns, and grenade launchers. Some have criticized law enforcement for using military equipment at Dakota Access Pipeline protests. But law enforcement officials say the equipment is used for a defensive nature.
So there's things that we're looking for that aren't what people normally would consider when they think of military equipment like tanks and big armored vehicles.
Fargo and Grand Forks have armored vehicles at their disposal, but they did not come from military surplus sales. Fargo law enforcement officials say they would consider looking to get another armored vehicle if it was the right situation, but have no concrete plans on expanding their military equipment.
The Prime Minister of Japan reported that North Korea likely fired an unidentified missile today that passed over Japan. That would make 2 missile launches within the past week. The Japanese government says they will take all possible measures to ensure safety of their citizens. Japanese officials said the missile flew over a northern Japanese island and landed in the Pacific Ocean after separating into 3 parts. There was no damage reported to ships or anything else.
At least 2 people have died in the devastating floods on the Texas coast from Harvey, but officials are concerned that number could dramatically rise.
Rescues have continued all day long, but there's more need than help available. Reporter Meg Oliver has the latest on the storm from Houston.
This was just one of more than 1,500 air rescues across the Houston area as the water keeps rising. U.S. Customs agents and the Coast Guard plucked residents from the roofs of their flooded homes. And there were many more rescues by high water vehicles and boats, a good portion of them operated by civilians.
We need help! Come out!
Thousands have been rescued so far, and they include the most vulnerable, the disabled, the elderly, children, and babies.
Nobody's kept count. The count isn't the important thing. It's getting people out of dangerous situation.
Those awaiting rescues are pleading for help on social media. Relatives of a family of 6 say they died when their van was washed away Sunday, which officials are still trying to confirm.
The water took them. The water took the whole van and went into a ditch. My uncle jumped out. National Guard ran over there, tried to open the doors. They couldn't get the doors open. All my nieces and nephews drowned.
The entire National Guard in Texas has been mobilized, a total of 12,000 in the area to help. They'll also be managing the evacuees, like 7-year-old Jesus, who has cerebral palsy and hasn't eaten in a day.
His machines got wet, his medicine got wet, so he already had 3 seizures. That's very intense for her, but all we can do is wait.
Wait for food, for comfort, and for the rain to stop. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Houston.
As of this morning, about 75,000 people in the flooded areas have called 911 for help.